I'm seriously considering buying this player ahead of Gameweek38. He scored 3 goals in his last 4 games, yet nobody is talking about him. Look, I know he plays for Burnley, but I think he could do really, really well this week. So guys, as promised, you've made it till the end of the video. My bonus differential, my 6th differential is... It's the final round of the season, guys. Game week 38 is here, and safe players, safe picks just aren't going to do much for your rank. These differentials can really help propel you on that final day and make a final push in your mini leagues to up your rank. If you hang around for the full video as well, I'll reveal a 6th differential, a bonus differential. So let's jump into it. So guys, welcome to another video. If you are new around here, hit that like button and hit subscribe. I've got some fantastic World Cup fantasy content coming in the coming weeks actually. So getting straight into the FPL video, into the differentials, you can see that I have stuck by Somerville. He's a player that I've gone with in the past, right? West Ham have to win this week. 3 points might not be enough, but they might as well try and get it. They're at home, which is also, you know, they've got the crowd with them. It gives them a good advantage going into the game. And they're also playing a Leeds side who are, you know, they're safe. They won't get relegated. They're pretty much on the beach. That's not me saying that they're going to be they're going to just kind of lie down and take it from West Ham. Look, West Ham, again, they've got the home advantage. They're playing at a side who are basically on the beach. So motivation is definitely there. Looking for teams with motivation on the final day is definitely worth doing if you're, you know, when it comes to making your transfers this week. He's obviously Bowen's a forward pick, which is not ideal. And he's also quite expensive with Somerville. He's very, very cheap. He's a midfielder, so additional points for obviously any clean sheets, goals scored and stuff like that as well. But I think he's been really, really good as of late too. You know, Leeds are one of the worst away sides in the league. So this is, you know, this is definitely a great fixture for him. I thought he was good against Newcastle. He was unlucky not to get an assist against them actually. But his data is very, very good. He's got 5 goals and 3 assists. It's not fantastic, but his underlying data recently has been very good. He's actually underperformed on that, so I think it's a matter of time before he cashes in on that data and scores. Well, let's hope it's this week because it is the final week. But yeah, I really like Somerville going into this week. So I also really want to highlight Ryan of Bournemouth. Now, look at Bournemouth's recent record, 17 matches unbeaten now under Iraola. And obviously, it's coming to an end, his time with Bournemouth. He has been linked with Liverpool, but an exceptional season. But 17 matches unbeaten just goes to show they are banging form. And they've scored goals. You know, obviously, they beat Arsenal. They've scored 3 goals against the likes of Palace, Arsenal, teams like that. So I do really think that going into this one, they could rack up the goals against Forest. You've got to remember now that Forest have got nothing to play for. They are safe. They got hammered by Aston Villa in that, I think, the second leg of the Europa semi-final. They also got beat by Manchester United as well. So they've looked really, really ropey. Not really much to play for. Bournemouth are hunting down those European spots as well, right? Look certain to get a European spot, but it's just, you know, which competition they're going to be in. So they've got plenty of motivation. It's a fantastic fixture. Now, if you look at Rayan in terms of his recent form, 3 goals and 4 assists in his last 4 matches, but no one's 3 goals in his last 4 matches, but nobody is talking about him, right? He's so cheap. He's a major differential, and also his data is pretty good as well, right? I just think he's got everything going into this: form, fixture, motivation to win, and obviously Bournemouth's 17 match unbeaten run just speaks for itself. So yeah, Rayan is an excellent option going into game week 38. So I know what you're thinking, his ownership is above 10%, but let's be honest, not many experienced managers will own Enzo Fernandez at this point in the season, right? Chelsea have been absolutely dire, horrific, but Rosenier has gone. Obviously, there's a caretaker manager in place until, well, it's rumoured that Chelsea will be getting Alonso, but that doesn't matter because Chelsea have looked better since the old manager has gone, right? We saw them in the FA Cup final. I thought, as a fan, Chelsea were excellent. Yes, it was annoying to see them lose, but I thought, we showed a bit more than what we usually show. We're obviously good against Spurs as well. We beat Spurs, but I just think, Chelsea looking in a lot better place than they were, a few matches ago. It's stark contrast, really. But this last fixture against Sunderland, look, Sunderland have conceded against some awful teams as of late. Wolves, they got absolutely hammered as well recently, remember? So you can't rule out Chelsea scoring a couple of goals here. And if they do, I imagine that Chelsea's Enzo Fernandez will be involved. I mean, 10 goals and 5 assists this season is very, very good, right? His XGI is also around 0.55, which is pretty good for someone, like Enzo Fernandez. He's obviously got partial kind of play in penalties if Cole Palmer's not on the pitch, but he also scored and he assisted against Spurs as well. So I think if you're looking to go a little bit different, again, I understand his ownership is above 10%, but remember, I think a lot of this ownership is kind of the casual players from the start of the season. I personally really like Enzo Fernandez heading into this week. So Ouattara is another interesting one. This is my final midfield differential. No one is going to buy him this week because he faces Liverpool. But if you look at Liverpool's form, I think it's 2 losses in the last 3. They've conceded like 8 goals. And Brentford are obviously very, very good and highly motivated to clinch a European spot and try and get, a higher up European competition. So there's plenty of motivation for Brentford there. Liverpool pretty much look like they've secured Champions League, so I'm not too sure how much motivation they'll have going into the game. Again, recent form has been poor as well, so there's no indication that they're going to massively turn up. But I really like Ouattara. He's been excellent this season. If you look at his kind of balance of goals and assists, 8 goals, 7 goals and 8 assists, it's very, very good. It shows multiple routes to points. So you know what you're going to get with Ouattara. You're going to get attacking threat. You're going to get goals. You're going to get assists. His data's also really good as well. He's nice and cheap, and his ownership is super, super low. So yeah, I also really like Dango heading into this week, and it's got nothing to do with the fact he's just scored a brace. It kind of is. But yeah, look, he is so explosive, isn't he? And we saw that in the last match. So yeah, I really like him. Look, I know he plays for Burnley, but I genuinely think he could do really, really well this week. It's Zion Fleming, the Burnley striker. Look, no one knows if Burnley are going to do well this week. Look, they've already been relegated, but so have Wolves. They're playing Wolves this week. In fact, this is going to be a good advert for the Championship next season. It's a good test to see, where they're going to be in terms of, because let's face it, Burnley and Wolves are probably going to try and come straight back up into the Premier League next season. So we could well see, where they're at. It's a good chance for both teams to see where they're at. So Burnley will be slightly motivated for this, albeit, they have been poor. They have still scored against some good teams throughout the season. So I really like this fixture for Burnley. Look, it is at home. Again, some of the reasons I've already explained, but also Wolves have been horrific this season defensively. So have Burnley, I know, but look, I do think Burnley can score a couple of goals against Wolves this week. I also think the Wolves can score, right? So you never know, right? But I think that everyone is overlooking Zion Fleming. I think a lot of people are looking at Anthony, but Fleming is higher projected in terms of points over at the Fantasy Football Scout RMT. I think he scored 10 goals this season. His XG is around 0.4 per 90, which is very, very good, right? You want goals. I do also think that it's easier to come off the likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin to, Fleming this week rather than another midfielder. It feels tough to sell a midfielder this week, albeit there are quite a lot you can move to. So I really, really like Fleming. This is a great fixture. He took a pen recently. His data is good. 10 goals in the Championship playing for Burnley is a solid total, right? So I'm trying not to go crazy here picking Burnley players, but I genuinely think he could be a great option for Gameweek 38. So yeah, I'm all for Fleming this week. So guys, you've waited this long. This is my bonus differential, my 6th differential, and it is Estev. I know a lot of people are going to be like, what are you doing? What are you on about? Why are you highlighting a Burnley defender ahead of this week? But, we could see a lot of rotation from popular defenders this week, the likes of O'Reilly at City, Gabriel at Arsenal. So there's no telling how many defenders we're going to have left in our team to start, right? And I do think Esteve could be an outside shout for a defender this week. Look, you can't get a better fixture for Burnley, really, can you? Wolves at home, it's a decent fixture. They could have clean sheet potential. I'm trying not to smile as I say that because I know how bad they have been from a defensive perspective this season, but Wolves have been poor in attack, right? So it could well happen. Esteve also offers ball contribution potential, right? If you take a look, it's above 10 per match, and his kind of success rate of receiving those DEFCON points is around 55%. So I do really like Esteve this week in terms of, you know, defensive potential, clean sheet potential, defensive contribution potential, and you never know, he could well score. So that was my bonus differential. Hopefully those differentials give you a final day boost in game week 38. If you are going to buy any of those differentials, let me know in the comments which one you are going to buy and I will reply. If you're new around here, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button because I've got some fantastic World Cup fantasy content coming in the coming weeks actually and throughout the tournament. So I'll see you guys again soon.